In this video, I am going to share with you some top tips on how you can read other people, understanding their style when they go into a meeting. Could be a business meeting or a networking event. Now we start on the outgoing, and the outgoing is the D and the I, the dominant and influence. Dominant is task focused, so outgoing, they will walk confidently into a meeting room, and just their presence, you'll just know their style just by the way that they present themselves as they walk into a meeting. But they're task focused, so they're not going to be wanting that chit chat, as some people would call it, that small talk as perhaps it's also referred to. They might not even look at you. They might literally walk in the room, fix themselves on that chair. I'm walking to that chair and I'm going to sit down. And if they see you, they might give you a nod, morning. And so to people who are polar opposite to that style, might be perceiving them as a bit rude, but they might actually kind of just, it's just their style. There's no right or wrong. And remembering in this, there's no labelling. It's not about putting people in boxes. It's just about recognising their difference. So if somebody like that is walking into the room, morning, walks in, sits down, they don't want to talk about the weather or their journey. They're probably really not interested in what you did at the weekend. So it might just be a very high level, hello, how are you? Now, staying with the outgoing people, moving over to people focused, I influence. These are the people that will again come into the room. You know they're there the minute they walk in, because they come in, morning, hi, how are you? How is everybody? Probably haven't thought about where they're going to sit or who they're going to talk to. They're just happy to see people. Morning, morning, morning. Over to the coffee, perhaps bags, books, everything, oh, hello, yes, right, Chuck. They'll start a conversation the minute they've walked through that door. And if you're polar opposite to this style, you're probably already sitting there thinking, yes, they're exhausting. And I get that, because sometimes they can be. But you know the I style, because they're the one that wants to chat how your weekend was. They love the small talk. They love getting into the people because they're interested in people. Now, the thing with the outgoing style, before we move on to the reserved style, is that both of them being outgoing, you can feel the presence of them just when they walk in the room, because they are outgoing in terms of their whole persona. Yep, their whole feeling is outgoing. It's about being with people. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, this is all great, Vic, but how do I remember all of this without having to look at all your videos? Well, you're in luck there, because I have put together a free download. There's a link in the description. Go along, have a look at it, and it gives you everything that I talk about in terms of personalities. So let's go to the reserved. Now, as it actually says, reserved people will walk into a room in a reserved manner. They don't need to announce that they're there. They don't need to make their presence felt. They're there for the meeting. They've got the agenda. If we're on the people side of things, so S, steadiness, they will be very observant when they walk in the room of who else is in the room. So you'll probably see them walk in. They'll be on the quieter side. They will make conversation with people, but they won't try and talk to everyone all at once in the room. The S style, people focused on the reserved side, will do a smaller one-to-one conversation. They'll put their stuff down. They'll go and make a tea or coffee. They'll talk to the person that's next to them making the tea and coffee. Hi, how are you? Did you have a nice weekend? Haven't we got some lovely weather today? How's your mum? They'll make the small talk, but one-on-one. Yeah, so that's a top tip for the S there. Staying on reserved and moving over to the C style. The C style, again, you won't know their presence as they walk into the room. They don't need to make it felt. They're not that type of person. And if the meeting starts at 9 a.m, they will turn up at 9 a.m. Because to the C style, why do I need to be there before? Why would I need to be there at 10 to 9? That means I will then be having conversations with lots of people I don't need to have lots of conversations with. So your C styles will be the ones that turn up at the start of the meeting. They'll find the seat, they'll sit down, open their stuff, and they're ready to go. So perhaps they'll turn up at 1 minute too to make sure that they are there. They may well already have their drink with them. They'll have bought a coffee or a tea or anything, water, whatever it is. They'll have bought that with them, so they didn't then have to have the conversation with the people at the coffee area. Does that help? Can you see yourself in one of those? Can you see yourself going, I know that I'm like that. That's how I walk into a meeting. Yes, I absolutely recognise the other people in the meeting. It's not about right or wrong, is it? That's the big thing we need to know about personalities. I'd love you to put in the comments section which style you see yourself as more as. And we're a blend of all of them, but one of those styles will be stronger than the other. So dominant, outgoing, task focused, influence, outgoing, people focused, steadiness, reserved, but people focused, and compliant, reserved, and task focused. Which one are you? Don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit the bell, and keep following for more top tips and hints on how you can recognise, understand, and respect our differences. Because the world is full of different people.